What is your definition of value? Because I know what we are told, the regard that something is held to desire, the importance, worth, or usefulness of something, a person's principles or standards of belief, one's judgment of what is important in one's life. Well, isn't your mindset and your energy, your macabre, isn't it of value, pioneers? Can I get a hello? You see, 76% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. 64% of Americans that have businesses either break even or lose money. Most people who don't have money, well, they've just simply accepted the fact that they don't have any money. See, they're fearful of money constantly. They overspend. They don't know how to produce. They definitely don't know how to multiply money and value. In the land of the brave and the home of the free, not anybody is financially free. That's not even close to the truth. It's just as important for people to understand that complaining has no value. You got to put in the work. And if you complain about not having money or time, well, then do something about it. If you don't have that perfect work-life balance, that is a lie, well, then spend more time with your family and friends, your loved ones, on vacation, just being you. It's super simple. Let your actions dictate instead of sitting there feeling like you're not in control. Poor people say, I can't afford it. I don't have enough money. I don't have the time. That's an escape, an obstacle that you lay in front of yourself that you now have to hurdle. It's easy to say, I can't afford that. Oh, I don't have enough time. I'm too tired. When you could do anything you set your mind to, because anything you say after I am, you become. Can I get a hello? The truth is, you're just too lazy to do it. Money doesn't have value. What is money? See, this is an important red pill for you all to understand. Most people don't immediately understand this, that money itself doesn't have value. We just put our faith and our belief in it, and it gives it its value. You do that. Money is a vector for transmitting value. It's how you express value. But the value isn't in the money. It's in the product or the service or the craft and skill that we're teaching here. You see, it's in the labors you gave in order to acquire value in the first place. That's where value comes from. There's nothing intrinsically valuable in money. You shouldn't put money in a car or a house. You should put money in your brain, in your brand. You should be putting money into yourself and not just into the markets or this and that, etc. You should promote yourself and not put money in nonsense. Put money into your life and your kids' lives, etc. Why is that a mistake? If you put money in a house or a car or clothes, etc., well, because it's dead money. You can't make your money grow off dead money. A house can't make you money. A car can't make you money. The only reason people think this is because they're comparing it to, well, if I rent, that costs me money. But instead, when you go to the hospital, you don't buy the hospital, do you? No, you rent a bed to get out of there as fast as you can, because you know you're going to be there for a few hours. If you go on a vacation to Dollywood, etc., you don't buy the hotel, you rent a room. Okay, nobody thinks bad or poorly of that. Yeah, I'm going to go there, use the place, and get out. And that's what you should be doing with your living, with your value. Find a place that you can put your value in that returns value back to you. Find a place that you can rent, etc. Pay monthly. Don't own the house, pioneers. Own the value. Take all the money that you would have put in that house purchase, that down payment, etc., all that extra money that you're saving up for that, and use all that to improve yourself, your business, your brand, so you can get more value. Because I see so many people saying, I'm going to invest this and that to hopefully make this. And it's like, what are you doing? Are you thinking? You know? Don't gamble with your value. Money doesn't just come to you, okay? You have to create it. People who stay in the same place, they get too comfortable. But if you study wealthy people, they are never stopping. They're moving, they are mobile. You know? They're not talking nonsense, WAP videos, TikToks, Johnny and Amber Heard, etc. They go and take and make plans and take action. You see, you can get there if you actually believe in yourself. Most people believe in other things, other people. They want to be a follower. People will accept you. People accept everything. Just be you. Be you, and clearly people will react with happiness, love, and gratitude towards you. Don't act in hate. Don't judge. Be neutral. And find your value. Because value is what you determine it to be. Hence is why I won't adjust to someone else's viewpoint and mindset. I know what my intent is, so why should I be scared? I want to build the biggest building in town. And you know how I'm going to do that? By building the biggest empire in town. A lot of people want to build the biggest empire in town, and they want to do it by destroying and taking down someone else's empire. Don't be that. Because what you believe in your hearts and speak in your minds will eventually become your words and your reality one day. And what you repeatedly do gets ingrained in your subconscious mindset. And what gets ingrained in your subconscious mindset becomes an unconscious action and an unconscious activity. And I've always just wanted mine to be guideful, helpful, and nurturing to others. So sending you all much love and high vibrations out to wherever you are in this matrix and galaxy. And when it comes to crypto, essentially, there is a lot that could happen regarding the short-term price action and movement. But if you've seen some of the work we have done over the last year and you're familiar with the daily candle close news and the cycles and the repetitive action that we talk about, then this is nothing new under the sun. And for well over a year now, we've spoke about this 7-year sabbatical cycle that brings a lot of volatility and uncertainty into these markets and the economy, geopolitically, just a lot of things going on each and every day that just gets one's mind out of whack. And if you're a new listener, the 7-year cycle that we are in currently is the 7-year Shemitah and sabbatical release cycle practiced in Jewish Hebrew culture. And that cycle ends on September 26, 2022, so coming up in just a few months. And typically when we analyze any of the major market crashes that we have seen in the past, well, they all seem to line up at the end of the Shemitah and the 7-year sabbatical cycle. Almost always immediately right after. And the word Shemitah, again, like I stated earlier, means release. So zooming out and looking at this in a 30,000 foot overview, a lot of this really makes sense as to why we see these large pullbacks and crashes and black swan events, not just in crypto, but the economy and, the dollar raging up, gas prices going up, causing inflation and just making it hard for the people to survive and the stock market's down. We see all this taking place. And again, when we zoom out, it's nothing new under the sun to us who were prepared for this for the last 2 years, something we've been preparing you for. But it's as if we're watching this release come into these markets now, and it's pretty obvious that, we could see another event possibly post-Shemitah. And when we look at this year, we know we have all seen quite a bearish market already. They're just now calling for a crypto winter, and we've been in an 8-month sell-off leading into the end of Shemitah. And that definitely makes me wonder if we will bottom out now and they just rip the band-aid off and let the dogs out and we crash down even further? Or will we get a relief rally into August and September and, bring in some relief in the markets? Could we possibly see that over the next few months? That ultimately then brings us down into an even lower low, possibly outside of this firmament. If we were to push up to the top of it, get rejected, or break out over the next few months, break out of this falling wedge pattern we are in on the weekly time frame, we could see this be a very bullish breakout to the upside, possibly taking us on up close to $30,000. Not financial advice, just looking at what we're given in technical analysis. So it kind of makes me wonder how this will play out. With the midterms coming up, are they going to try and make the markets look pretty good, etc.? Or, who knows what will happen after, possibly Q1 of 2023. So in the meantime, while we prepare for this possibility, that's all this is staying prepared. But in the meantime, I want us to look at the levels and ranges and learn them and learn how to execute them on the smaller time frames like we've been sharing with you all recently. I want us to be able to take something from these charts and develop a skill and a craft that we can use to produce fruit for our future selves to eat from. Because when we buy cryptocurrencies or stocks, etc., we buy the price. We don't buy dates. We don't buy news articles, etc. Nonsense. So whether we get another leg down now or in October, like the typical Shemitah cycle shows us around that time period, it's all irrelevant. It doesn't matter because we buy the price and not the date. Okay? We take action when we see availability in the charts, whether that's euphoric or to the downside for accumulation. Take this time to study the charts and to find entry levels that look absolutely, amazing to you, like that 10K possibly, that 9,900 possibly, or around that 12, 13K to that $14,000, $15,000 range if we were to get it for Bitcoin. If we were to look at things like Ethereum, if we were to fall to a low of possibly right there at around $400, $500, $350, then look at those savvy prices that you can attack. Or XRP, if we were to recently, we've spoken about this, if we were to see it fall to that 22 cent range or that 27 cent range, then let's take advantage of these very beautiful opportunities. Not financial advice. So again, in no way am I calling for a new all-time low in Q4. But if we typically zoom out and we look at the past history of Bitcoin, we know it's always hit its all-time highs and all-time lows in Q4, except for the initial beginning, of Bitcoin. It was the only thing around. It was very speculative at the time. But since then, over a span of over 10 years, we pretty much followed this cycle. And again, breaking that and setting something we've never set is something we need to continue to pay attention to, creating a new cycle for Bitcoin. I'm just saying that it is possible and that I would welcome the opportunity for new all-time lows in some of these cryptos over the short to medium term over the next year. Okay? I'm biased, bullish on accumulation for better future opportunities to de-risk. What true savvy investor isn't? Okay? I'm willing to accumulate if this happens. Whether it happens tomorrow or if it happens at the end of the year again, it's all irrelevant. But setting limit orders to buy so we don't have to rush into an exchange, etc., move funds, etc., is the best way to go, so that all we got to do is get a notification if these targets were hit. Vice versa with de-risking our portfolios as well. A very few people are aware of what value is, and that's because most people believe that they can go to school and get a degree or be taught what value is. And value is learning the craft and skill we're teaching here, so you know how to attack these markets when these opportunities come. No degree is going to teach you that. That's why I'm building the Pioneer University and Academy for divergents and glitches that want to actually become financially secure and safe because they realize financial freedom and the American dream is a lie. So people are taught that this product has this much value, or that this organic food is better than the etc. food, blah 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 blah. People very rarely set their own term and conditions for what they themselves believe value to be. And hopefully my work over the last year has been teaching everyone to never place value in anything that is not you, yourself, me, myself, and I. Because through you is where all the value shines through, pioneers. Can I get a hello? Remember, you're already rich and you're already wealthy. And when you remember this, you become a better person, a better husband, a better teacher, a better listener, a better friend, etc. And I'm aware that that might not be, something that resonates with a lot of people. They might not believe that. They might think I'm crazy and that they're not already rich and they're not already wealthy. But, what's that say about them and their mindset, pioneers? Well, that they don't know their own value. So if you're saying, I can't, well, then with that attitude, you never will. And because of this latest crypto bull run, and I'm using air quotes here, we have recently seen so many people get absolutely wrecked and emotional. And those are the people leaving the Daily Candle Close News and the group chat in the Pioneer Academy because they were overvalued and emotional at the wrong times, and they weren't building a craft and a skill. And that doesn't hurt our feelings, and they're welcome back anytime. But because people put value in a crypto or a company and a CEO like Brad Garlinghouse or David Schwartz, etc., or they put their value in blockchain technology, the slavery system, or they put their value in Gary Gensler and Jay Clayton, the SEC lawsuit, etc. Peter Schiff, Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy, ETFs and futures, leverage trading at 125x. They put their value in all the wrong things. They buy land in the metaverse instead of going out and getting land in the real world. But are any of these people you? No. Do any of these things you're doing and following and posting about, are they helping you bring value? No. So again, never place your value in nonsense, in anything that is outside of yourself. That's not for your future self. I always place my value and myself at the highest value. And I do that by showing up and showing out, by putting in the work, by creating this artwork for you all. I'm doing and not consuming. Yes, we all consume, but I'm not following. I'm not waiting on someone to tell me what to do. Who's taking notes, doing the work, following the skill and the craft that we're doing here? Because 10% of people make change, while 90% of people just consume and follow. So what are you going to do? Are you just going to lay there and be content with who you are and where you're at? Or are you going to build a craft and a skill that can get you to your outcome that you want to manifest? Because that's what we're doing, the pioneers here on the Daily Candle Close News. We are accumulating and attacking and playing these markets with conviction and dedication and determination. And we are winning. Point blank, period. So we've got a whole lot to talk about today, pioneers. Because I recently did a video on, CERN, you guys. And Shiva, the goddess of destruction. And I certainly hope you all enjoyed that video. We talked about Stranger Things. A lot of this we're going to be brushing back up on and talking about today as we look at a lot of things that we've seen recently happen on the world stage. And we know that it's crazy that we see destruction that I prepared you for. I literally said, watch out for sudden destruction. And we all of a sudden seen coming out of 7/6, July 6th, destruction of the Georgia Guidestones that everybody's wanting to lose their energy and macabre over. Nonsense. We can't be losing our energy over this. Not at all. We got to be able to collect and maintain the frequency that we're building here, the mindset that we're building here. Because so many people are getting lost in the sauce and they're not seeing the bigger picture of what is truly going on, of what we'll be discussing here today. So, give me 1 second to plug this up, you guys. Sorry about that. I usually try and always stay prepared, you guys. But back to what we were talking about. We saw sudden destruction. Okay, and then all of a sudden, the same day, we saw a rocket explodes moments after launching from Vandenberg Space Force Base. So, not surprising, John was out here on 7/6, before 7/6, preparing you all for this date and the possibility of what we would see take place. Again, I literally said, watch out for sudden destruction. 76 ties us back into Shiva, the goddess of destruction, and we'll pull her up real quick. And I'm going to break all this down. But again, the goddess of destruction, also considered to be Lucifer in the Hindu culture. So we'll pay attention to that. It's not surprising that on 7/6 we see destruction. The day before, we know CERN reactivated for the first time in years, and at CERN in Geneva, Switzerland, I shared with you all how they have a statue of Shiva doing the dance, the cosmic dance of destruction. Okay? So not surprising that we see this. We know that recently Stranger Things has shown us what exactly CERN is doing by opening the gateways and portals, etc. that we've explained. So go and do your due diligence and research on my CERN video if you haven't watched that, or watch Stranger Things and do some more due diligence with a third eye view as to what's truly going on. So we see that 7/1 was when we got released episodes of Stranger Things, new episodes, correct? And when we typed out Stranger Things, we got the 71. Giving us that 71. In Stranger Things, they talk about a creature called Vecna. And when we pull up a Kabbalah cipher, we get that 71. So very surprising when we type that out. We know who Vecna is, this character in this show. But again, CERN is 17 miles in diameter, and that's the mirror of this 71. But I talked about sudden destruction, giving us that same 71 that we're seeing take place. And while everybody's talking about the Georgia Guidestones, etc., this 215 is showing you what we saw in the price charts when Bitcoin broke past $21,500. The 215, a range that we prepared you all for in advance before this time period. Again, we got the site. We can see. Okay, so this is going to be a special video that I'm breaking down for you all. We know that this time period, I told you, was the 187th day of the year. So just as we create, we destroy. Remember that. This 187 is highly tied to murder and the penal code that police use for homicide and murder. So pay attention to this, because again, we then get reports in the news of our 187th sniper killed in Ukraine by a missile strike, a Brazilian model, the news tells us. Again, so harvesting your energy. Why did we see this news around Ukraine and the murder of a celebrity, a scripted death? Remember, and she's a model, she's a celebrity. If you don't believe me, well, you go model, okay? This Ukraine, this time period, this 187 was 2 months and 20 days to the end of Rosh Hashanah and the Shemitah year that we talk about. And why is this 22 important and this news coming out of Ukraine important, huh? Pay attention right here when we type out the word Ukraine. It's all right there, giving us that same 22 on the day that we get the news. Not surprising, you guys. We just talked about CERN that was reactivated, giving us that 22 heading into this time period, okay? And then all of a sudden we get news out of Georgia, giving us that same 22. The news given to us about the Georgia Guidestones right here that were destroyed. Something we're going to continue to break down going throughout this video. But it's not surprising. We're getting this news in the 2022 year, 222. Okay, 22 is how most people in America write this, but it's the Hebrew year of 5782. Not surprising, you guys. So when we break this down even deeper, we see that this time period was Wednesday, heading into Thursday, that very powerful 7-7, okay? And we know how important that number is. It's utilized by the occult in so many textures, etc. We know the biblical number is 7, okay? So very important. This is tying us into a time period where we see September 26th, the end of the Shemitah. This day falls on a day that adds up to 77. Last year, the Shemitah started on 9/7, and anybody that knows the true Latin definition meaning behind the word sept, they know it means 7. So September is really the 7th month. So again, the Shemitah, the 7-year cycle, started on 7/7/2021, which is all about the sevens. The 21 year, 7 plus 7 plus 7 is 21. So it's all here in this very exo and esoteric code. So undeniably important that we pay attention to this. But this 76 is what we were talking about. And this was heading into Thursday, the day of Jupiter. And this was a controlled demolition, giving us that 55 and that 116. Again, demolition giving us 55. This was clearly a lie, basically giving us that 55. Just throwing that in there for side credit there. But that demolition gave us 41. Okay, not surprising, that's the mirror of 14, but 41 is the 13th prime number. We're in the 13-year anniversary of Bitcoin, and that ties us into the very 13 bloodlines that everybody wants to scream about all the time. But deeper, this 116, we saw this demolition happening going into Thursday, you guys. Not surprising, okay? It all happens by a pre-programmed algorithmic code, which is why we get these news or the price action or whatever on the world stage is time released. So it will look a certain way until it pops off to hit a certain price on a certain day or do a certain event and portray it to the world from your mainstream media, your MK Ultra, etc., your Alice in Wonderland. Do your own due diligence and research. If you don't believe any of the things I'm saying, watch some of the work we put out for the last year. You literally had all this in advance, talking about it, and the sudden destruction we could possibly see around this time period. Again, CERN was activated again on 7/5, you guys, 2022, which is 7/5. With the Gregorian calendar, we know it's really that, this month is really the 5th month, so this is really a 5/5 date, very important number. But 7/5, what they tell us, okay, ties us back into order out of chaos that we saw in the 2022 year, 222, and another 71 tying us into Stranger Things and sudden destruction. Shortly after CERN was reactivated, which is 17 miles in diameter, the mirror of 71. But we get this 7/5, the date CERN was activated. This is all, like I stated in my CERN video, a distraction. distraction, giving us that same 75. What do you know? It's all to distract you. Look here so you don't look here and don't understand what's really going on. So again, this 222 that we just made connections to in the 2022 year order out of chaos, remember, we made connections to the Wuhan coronavirus, giving us that same 222 2 years ago when all this nonsense started leading into this 7-year sabbatical year. So again, what we are seeing on this day take place, it happened on the 7th month, 6th day, 2 months and 20 days until the end of Rosh Hashanah and the Shemitah. So this 22 is all tying us back into what I've taught you all. It is a clear reset taking place. It is a clear change taking place. Okay? It is a clear recycle taking place, giving us that same 71 and 22. Undeniable. This is all alchemy, you guys. No doubt about it. We are literally witnessing it take place. This happened on 7/6. Alchemy gives you 6/7. As above, so below, so within, so without. Again, who is doing this? Our fraternity, Skull and Bones, the Brotherhood of Death, that same 41 we were discussing earlier, this same 76, when this took place, it was a 2-month and 20-day time period. The 22. Drop the 0, you get the 22. Undeniable, you guys. And it's truly amazing when we break this down and continue to show you what this is. So, let's do that. Because again, I told you this would be a special video and I'm nowhere near done yet. So, most of you are probably aware of the Georgia Guidestones and this ritual that we've been talking about. And you've probably seen your favorite content provider share it on their channel or whatever. But I believe most of you are savvy enough and experienced enough to not get excited about this. I know you know it's deeper than what it appears to be on the surface. But if any of you remember my last video that I put out and the CERN video where I talked about this date that we just discussed, well, the reason I was talking about this was actually the connection to the end of the Shemitah, like I've discussed. So, undeniable. Up until Rosh Hashanah, we're going to continue to see more events and more Johnny and Amber and Will and Smiths and just other things to get us distracted, broken, lost, and confused coming from our news, okay? So just always try and look through the darkness and find the greater meaning. But on the 6th of July at 4 a.m., we actually had an explosion of the fourth wall, okay? And again, if you don't know what the Georgia Guidestones is, learn a little bit about it. It's very interesting. It has this set of commandments, and the first one is to maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual harmony and balance with nature. Okay, so basically, this adds up to eugenics, okay? And depopulation control, etc. And I'm not trying to poke fun at the truthers and the conspiracy theorists that are throwing this out there as a, you know, the heroes came and saved the day by destroying this. I'm not saying that this is what happened at all. I don't believe that at all. I know that this was a clear ritual, and we'll continue to discuss that moving forward. But if you want to learn more about this, then go watch some of them documentaries or whatever that are out there talking about Q or whoever, or, you know, nonsense. Okay? This is clearly a ritual, and I'm here to explain why, okay? Again, this day happened, and this destruction happened on the 187th day of the year. The murder code, the penal code, and this 22 is not only the architect and the creator, but it's also the destroyer, the master creator, the master destroyer number. So seeing this creation and destruction take place on the 187th day of the year with the Georgia Guidestones, it's kind of like a wet dream for a conspiracy theorist or a truther out there, you know, a decoder. So it's very interesting how we are seeing this take place. and I believe it's definitely for a reason. So when we break that down even deeper, getting back to that 22, it's the Master Creator Destroyer. Master Creator Destroyer number. I spelled that wrong. Sorry about that. And that's giving us the 223. And again, I showed you this destruction happened on a date that was 7/6. Skull and Bones gives us the 76. And when you also type out Creator Destroyer and Skull and Crossbones, we're all getting the same connection here, the 223. Okay, Creator Destroyer, Skull and Crossbones, 223. We see this destruction happened on 7/6, July 6th. That's Skull and Bones. Okay, all right. All this happened in the 2022 year, and where did this take place? It took place in Elbert County, Georgia. So let's just copy and paste that and see what we get. Okay, it happened in the 2022 year. Undeniably important. Bitcoin just hit a 69K top. Okay, the Queen just had Platinum Jubilee, and Queen Elizabeth gives us that 69. So all this is very exo and esoteric, some things that we've been talking about. Nothing. I don't know if that was a prime, but this L right here, again, Stranger Things. We know L is the most important character in the movie. She is called 11, but El is a Hebrew term for God. Elohim is plural, meaning gods. Again, so pay attention to who El is. In the most ancient cultures, we know Saturn is known as El, the Lord of all lords, God of gods. In the Greek culture, Saturn is known as Odin. Okay, so again, El is very important in this show right here. So it's not surprising that we see this happening and taking place in a county that has El in it. So that Elbert is very exo and esoteric here. But again, just undeniable the connections that we've discussed here. So just watch my last video, the CERN video, and then rewatch this if you haven't watched the CERN video, and this will really make a lot of sense. Most people are trying to get distracted on this Mandela effect, or they want you, that's what they want you distracted on. They want you distracted on time and the Mandela effect and all this nonsense, okay, instead of really realizing what's going on, the deeper picture that we shared with you in the last video. So very important. And maybe these things did change, like the Bernstein Bears or Jiffy, or Nelson Mandela himself. So things that I know for a fact that I learned about in school and then witnessed him die again years later. So I'm just throwing that out there. But there's a forest theme. We know the fourth wall of the destruction of the Georgia Guidestones took place at 4 a.m. Okay? So in Stranger Things, Season 4 is what they're showing us now. Episode 8, one of the newest episodes that was released on 7/1, July 1st, Stranger Things equals 7/1. Okay? They talk about in this episode at the 24-minute mark, we're in the year of Jupiter, okay, the 2 and the 4, not surprising, but we see this character, she says, it always chimes 4 times. And she's talking about Vecna, okay, giving us that same 71, which comes back to Vatica, which comes back to Vatican. Go and do your own due diligence and research. But he then says 4 gates, 4 kills, end of the world. And we know that, don't get scared there, that's inevitable, but the end of the world is only a new beginning hidden in disguise. So remember that. But anyways, we know the fourth wall was taken down at 4 a.m., but more specifically, we're going to break down this time period because it happened at 4:03 a.m. And we know Georgia Guidestones, it just recently, back in March on 3/22, March 22nd, which was the traditional day that it was erected, again, tying us back into Skull and Bones. Again, this was erected on March 22nd, 3/22. Okay, so what was I saying? Dang. Oh man. I'm so sorry, you guys. I was talking about anyway, I was talking about the Georgia Guidestones, and I wanted to get into the predictive programming that they've been giving us about this, but I've definitely been wondering how it all tie in. And totally just got lost with what I was going to say here. So sorry about that. But again, 322 is when this took place and was erected. We're in the 42nd year anniversary of the Georgia Guidestones. I know where I was at. And we saw this destruction and bombing or direct energy weapon, whatever, take place at 403. So we never got to see the Georgia Guidestones make it to its 43rd anniversary that would come up next year in March. So I see that as very exo and esoteric as to why we see that. We saw that the Super Bowl this year ended with a total of 43 points scored. The mirror of 43 is 34. The NBA championship, Steph Curry, he scored 34 points. All this 43 and 34, it adds up to 7. We're in the 7-year sabbatical cycle. This was erected on 322. 3 plus 2 plus 2 is 7. And it's all, making a lot of sense when we break this down by the numbers and the code. Again, this 4-3 is very, very important. I was saying that the NBA championship finals was going to go to a 7-game final and the winner would win 4-3. 4 plus 3 is 7, but I was just wrong. It ended before game 7, and we saw in the final game Steph Curry score 34 points. So I was seeing a 34-4-3 connection. I just was wrong about that. So it's amazing to continue to see this 43-3-4 connection playing forward. So again, at 4 a.m., Stranger Things Season 4, Georgia Guidestones blows up at 4 a.m., 4:03 a.m. It's not even surprising, you guys. It's all pretty amazing how this is all tying in here. But specifically, this 4 thing, the fourth wall was destroyed. They're giving us some predictive programming right here in Stranger Things. And if we go back and look at the wall that was destroyed, it was actually the Swahili and the Hindi language slab that was destroyed, if I can find that. And I think they're showing us something there, because in the Hindu culture, again, this date and destruction happened on 7/6, and we know Shiva gives us 7/6. India and the Hindu culture, they worship Shiva and Shakti. Okay, so I definitely think that's very important moving forward, that we pay attention to that. So one other connection that I'll bring up is the fact that taking this article title, The Fall of the Berlin Wall, because it's very similar to what we're seeing right here, undeniably, if you think about it. And we pull this over and we replace it right here. Oh man, sorry you guys. Let's do this. Boom, we get that 193, correct? I recently shared with all my pioneers how important this 193, which was the 44th prime number, Stranger Things Season 4, the fourth wall of the Georgia Guidestones was just destroyed. Elon Musk, he was going to buy Twitter for $44 billion. We've seen this 4 theme play out. This 75, order out of chaos. 7-5, CERN was activated. Then we see a destruction, very similar to the fall of the Berlin Wall, that 193. Okay? And when we continue to look at this moving forward, and then Georgia Stonehenge. When we cop out Oh, sorry. Can't believe I messed that up. Georgia Stonehenge. Does that not give us Georgia's? I knew I'd get this right in a minute, you guys. Georgia Stonehenge gives us that same 193, the 44th prime. And I'm here to share with you all that I'm making these connections because, well, I'm an 8 of Wands birth card, you guys. Okay, undeniably, 8 of Wands. We did not make it to the 43rd anniversary of the Georgia Guidestones. We only saw it last to 42 years old. But when we type out 8 of Wands, what do we get? That 193, the 44th prime. That 59 in the year of the tiger. I'm able to show you all this because I have the sight to see it. I literally said we would see sudden destruction. Undeniable that we see it. Perfect, you know. I'm humbled, to be honest, to be able to come out and give you this all in advance, you know. So I think I've pretty much broken this down enough to get people to understand how scripted this is. You know, 4:03 a.m. 43 is when this took place. 4 plus 3 is 7 in the 7-year sabbatical cycle. We know the Georgia Guidestones is tied to 322. 3 plus 2 plus 2 is 7. You know, I'm just saying. Let's go over from yesterday to go over 4 months and 3 days and see what we get. And look at what we get. November 9th, the fall of the Berlin Wall. A ritual, you guys. Mind-blowing ritual that we just saw take place. And everybody wants to scream that the truthers are coming to save us, etc. These elites create and they destroy. Remember that. And they are telling us something. And they are bringing forth an energy that I believe is getting ready for the Antichrist. And you can really go and do your own due diligence and find all these answers that I'm talking about for yourself. And if we see a destruction of the Golden Gates Bridge, just know they brought the Antichrist through them gates into this world. And our reality is changing, and it's undeniable that we're seeing this take place. So I really hope you're paying attention to the eye-opening work that we're doing here, and not just the two on the side that lie. We're opening the third eye and bursting open people's chakras, you know, third eye chakras. So let's get into a little bit of cryptocurrency and technical analysis before we sign off of here. I think I've discussed enough about the ritual of the Georgia Guidestones and broke it down enough for you all to understand what's truly going on if you're aware with my CERN video. But just know that you're made in this image right here of Genesis 1:26-27. You're literally all sons and daughters of the gods. And the Greeks knew this, and they don't teach us this no more. They keep you trapped in your just over broke system and your mindsets of TikTok swap videos and sporting events. So it's time to unleash your power and potential and realize and remember who you truly have always been, the sons and daughters of the gods. So when we look at Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency price charts, and we just continue to pay attention to things like the daily time frame, we want to quickly we want to definitely pay attention to the bullish activity that we're seeing take place with this clear W pattern breakout on the daily time frame. We're clearly holding support of this respected trend line and getting a bounce in structure, especially when we look at things like the MACD that's been setting a clear on the daily time frame, clear, what I want to call this, on the weekly time frame, actually, hidden divergence, very hidden bullish divergence. We've been in an uptrend with the MACD and the histograms, while everything else has just been in a downtrend. So we're finally starting to see some of that play out, I think, on the smaller time frames like the daily, where we get this bounce coming in and some bullish activity breaking through some areas that we spoke about on the 2 hour time frame, etc. We really broke this last couple of weeks down on some smaller time frames for our pioneers to show them we're not just some overdosed on cocaine Las Vegas trader. We really understand the craft and skill that we're developing here, and we're really starting to hone in on that skill, and I hope it's showing. So we're starting to get some bullish price action towards potentially back testing this 200 simple movement average and this 223 exponential movement average, the top side of this range, where we could potentially get a rejection around that 29-30K range. Very important. Ultimately, never really getting a break back above this bull trap, and that would be, that'd be a bad sign. That'd be a sign that we're going to ultimately set another lower low in structure, probably towards the end of the year, October, quarter 1 of next year. We'll have to continue to see how long this move plays out. But we know typically leading into August, September, we know sell in May, walk away. Always remember to return in September, May, September, then shine like gold come December and January. You're down here below your September highs. So all very important and exoteric. So will the market participants and institutional money return in August and September? Will we see FOMO really start to take place after we see crypto is out of this dip and nobody bought the dip? They're just starting to FOMO in up at the top where we're about to see another rejection. It wouldn't be surprising if we start to see that activity take place over the next several weeks. That would ultimately bring us back into where did my firmament go? Oh, there it is. There we go. See, this is the move I was talking about earlier, just now. If we see that over August, September, we could be bursting outside this firmament and then coming back to retest it before a new cycle continues. We'll have to continue to see how that plays out, but it's going to be really important to remember, if Bitcoin remains daily closes above 21,500, we're going to be at the top side of this range that we've been on, right here. If we continue to look at this, boom, on the 2 hour time frame, we've been calling this, banger fucking university central here at the daily candle close news. On the 2 hour time frame, we've been executing this perfectly. This was what we called a bull pennant, possibly, and with a breakout either to the upside or the downside. We've got our ranges at 181, the 42nd prime number set. We've got our 227, 224, 225 was hit last night, 223 when I went to bed, when we were de-risking again. Okay, ultimately this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, I think a 5 wave is coming in, and look at this. We're still continuing to hold a lot of these 2 hour closes above this 215 range. Again, we just saw sudden destruction, which gives you 215 in numerology, and then Bitcoin hits 21.5. Well, what do you think? It's alchemy, you guys. How do you think energy transferred into Bitcoin all during this time period? Because they needed it to. Not financial advice. Pay attention, okay? But it's a lot deeper than your regular technical analysis guy is teaching you, okay? Your regular content provider. We do artwork and craft and skills here. A big difference, okay? So if we continue to hold multiple daily closes and 2 hour closes above this 215, we're in the top side of our range, and we're going to possibly set a higher high in structure. We got a full moon coming up, so one thing to remember is we'll have to pay attention to the bearish energy that comes in. So let's say a breakout is continued to be confirmed and back tested right here. Say breakout, back test, and we're bullish up until the full moon, and then we back test for the full moon. So that's an idea set up possibly, but who knows? Could be a head or left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Who knows over the next several days. This is a 2 hour time frame, so that's better played out on the daily, to be honest. Oh shit. So if we were to see a bullish breakout and then break down and then break back down. Who knows? Over, September, October, drag this out a little bit longer. Who knows? I'm just paying a lot of attention to that. This is a clear W pattern breakout, though, you guys. Boom, higher low. On the daily, this is bullish. This is our neckline right here. So if we're able to continue to break our neckline, we can look for a breakout move of possibly all the way to around that 24K. We'll be conservative. 24 in the 2000, in 24 year, the Jupiter logo. Let's see what happens. Who knows? We'll have to pay attention to the 2-day close. 6, 8. So today we'll have the 2-day close. So if we hold this 2-day close, we could see a breakout above this 22,000 level, this 22.5. So we could essentially be trapped in this area sideways and not get above this and make another leg down. Not financial advice, but we'll have to continue to see that. To see it start to come into, let's hide this. Weekly time frame. Let's hide the drawings. When we see this bounce matching the RSI that's historically oversold on the weekly, we need to see a recovery. We can't just continue to see a falling knife, even if this breaks up to that 30K 29 and then gets rejected over the next several months, that gives us at least another opportunity to de-risk, like we prepared you for when I released my exit strategy for everyone to purchase before we got this last sell-off over the last 11, 12 plus weeks. So undeniable that anybody that bought that and watched that and executed, that they were ready for this. Okay, so we've got another opportunity where we can de-risk again, and you're gonna have to follow the channel to pay attention for the opportunity to de-risk if this is what's taking place. But we'll just have to continue to see. But on the weekly, this MACD is still looking, like it's got some work to do before we can get a reversal, and before we can tend to get bullish on the weekly time frame for cryptocurrency. So a lot to still talk about in the future, and more that we'll discuss moving forward. But I want to leave this one here, sending you all much love and high vibrations. Take care, and God bless. Pioneers rise, build your fortress, and build your legacy.